Now we're going to switch gears, okay? Because here's the thing. If you were strolling through lower Manhattan today, big day, Foley Square in particular, around the U.S. District Courthouse, you might have wondered, what kind of block party did you just wander into? Italian music was blasting, the sidewalks were swarming with people holding signs, maybe wearing costumes. If you don't believe me, take a look. You see what I'm talking about? Yep, soon enough you'd figure out this was no street festival. No, it was the latest display of, dare I say, hero worship for the murder suspect being arraigned on federal charges inside. The suspect's name, as if you didn't already know, Luigi Mangione. He's not a rock star. He's accused of being a cold-blooded murderer. And while we've seen the Free Luigi forces before, this time a few counter-protesters actually came out, and they too understood the assignment. One brought his own private security and set up a skeleton dressed like the video game character in a makeshift electric chair. Can't make this stuff up. This was outside, okay? And inside the court, it was standing room only. And again, among the spectators for at least the second time at a Mangione hearing. You know who was there? Chelsea Manning, the former U.S. Army analyst who went to prison for leaking secrets. Reporters asked Manning afterward whether she's a Luigi supporter, and she said she merely supports, and I quote, the justice system being done in a fair manner. Now, the subject of all this attention arrived in a prison jumpsuit, shackled at the wrists and ankles. You'll have to take my word for it because cameras aren't allowed in federal courts. Reporters who were there say that he seemed calm, even winked at somebody in the gallery. But when it came time for business, he pleaded not guilty to all 4 federal charges against him: murder through use of a firearm, 2 counts of stalking, and a firearms offense. Luigi also faces charges at the state level, too, of course, for what the U.S. Attorney General calls the cold-blooded assassination of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson on a New York sidewalk back in December. But New York doesn't have the death penalty, so the feds do, and they want Luigi to get it. And the defense, not surprisingly, wants death taken off the table, in part because of inflammatory comments that were arguably made, like the one I just read, from senior government officials. Now, I'm going to stop here and turn things over to NewsNation senior correspondent Laura Ingle, my friend, who was there to learn a little bit more.
Jesse, 2 very different vibes here at federal court today. We had this spring-like concert going on outside with Luigi Mangione's supporters singing and chanting, holding up big, bright-colored signs. But inside is where the real life-and-death battle began. Luigi Mangione entered court in a mustard-colored jail suit, hands and feet shackled, uncuffed when seated, and he leaned into the microphone and said, not guilty. His supporters were also inside the gallery, and reaction was audible when he entered court. Our producer hearing gasps and comments like, this is unreal, and he is so expletive hot. One woman was seen covering her mouth, smiling and staring throughout the whole entire proceedings. Also new today, the defense revealed state prosecutors accessed privileged attorney calls between Mangione and his attorney Karen Agnifilo, and that they were inadvertently shared. The judge ordered a letter be handed in by May 2nd confirming private call access is protected by both sides. A Judge Garnett also issued a public statement warning under Rule 23.1 ordered no public commentary could impact a fair trial, and that was directed at the SDNY's Jay Clayton and asked that he pass it on to Attorney General Pam Bondi. Discovery was also addressed here, and the discovery in this case is massive. 2 terabytes of data. It includes FBI files, phone records, social media, Google, and DA materials. The government must turn it all over by May 27th. The Department of Justice also filed notice of intent to seek the death penalty on April 24th, and the defense called Bondi's announcement political and a stunt. The defense motion to challenge the death penalty is now due on June 27th. No trial date has been set in the state case, just suppression hearings for now. Then the defense wants the federal trial to go first because of capital charges. The next federal court hearing will happen on December 5th, and at that time, the judge hopes to set a trial date for the following year. Jesse?
Laura Ingle. One of the best in the business, and I'm also joined by one of the other best in the business, Mark Geragos, criminal defense attorney, co-host of the two-hit podcast, Reasonable Doubt and Two Angry Men. Thank you so much for taking the time, Mark. It's good to see you. So tell me if am I crazy when I look at all the fanfare? Is it crazy for me to say, I don't know, I'm shocked he was actually once again indicted on criminal charges? I mean, since with all the support that Mangione is getting, over $900,000 in the Luigi Defense Fund, last time I checked, is it outside the realm of possibility that despite what is a low standard to return an indictment and the plethora of evidence, the grand jurors might just say, hey, you know what, let's let him off? I mean, I really thought that he might not even be indicted because of the support he's getting.
Well, it's an interesting question. In doing this for over 40 years, I can tell you that I probably had less than a handful of no true bills, which is what the grand jury does if they don't bring an indictment. It's extremely rare. This might have been one of those cases. But at the end of the day, I think that the prosecution has got the heavier lift. I think the cynic in me says one of the reasons they want to bring a death penalty is traditionally and based on the sociological evidence, death penalty qualified juries and jurors are more pro-prosecution and more law and order. So that kind of weeds out, if you will, those who may be supportive or at least give this young man a presumption of innocence, because as you can see, it's a highly polarizing case.
Talking about the death penalty for a second, do you think that it should be on the table? Because I listened to some of the defense's arguments. I read through their filings, and I got to say, I think they make some pretty good arguments. The idea that this is not a traditional death penalty case at the federal level. It's not as if he's accused of murdering multiple people or part of a terrorist organization or a criminal organization. You have a pending state case, so you would argue it might be duplicative. They argued it's politically motivated. It's all based on the president's executive agenda rather than following the law on death penalty, and that this decision to move forward on the death penalty is arbitrary. Do you think, but look, I also say from the other point of view, I understand why they're going forward with the death penalty. Look at the reaction, look at the crime that he's accused of committing, but do you think it's the right move to go forward with the death penalty here?
You know, it's a policy move, number one, as you indicated, and I thought that the, full disclosure, my daughter is at the firm that is defending him, and I've read their motion. I think it's compelling, as you just indicated, but to the prosecution, I would counsel, be careful what you wish for. You already have somebody who has kind of a cult hero status. Going after the death penalty in a case like this just increases the amount of martyrdom. It also kind of puts in stark relief, why is this particular crime, as you just detailed it, why is that worthy of the death penalty, especially against the backdrop for the last couple of decades of all of the kind of misplaced death penalty prosecutions where you've got people, due to the great work of the Innocence Project, kind of sprung from death row due to problems in the proof and problems in the prosecution. So I don't think it's a wise move from a policy standpoint, and I think from a legal standpoint, it probably is not the right move either.
Talking from a legal standpoint, just focusing on the federal charges, because I could talk forever about the state charges and whether or not it's really a murder committed in furtherance of terrorism. Put that to the side. The federal charges he's facing, stalking, murder through use of a firearm, which is basically murder during the commission of stalking. So those the appropriate charges, or do you think he might be overcharged here?
Yeah, one of the interesting things is, and you alluded to it, the difference between the state theory and the federal theory. You've got the stalking on the one hand, and you've got the state theory, which to some observers and legal analysts that I've talked to, you can make a pretty persuasive argument that the two theories are at odds with each other. Now, there's nothing that says a prosecutor can't talk out of both sides of their mouth, but here you have two different prosecutorial agencies. Namely, you've got a state prosecutor and you've got the federal Department of Justice, and they're taking positions that basically are irreconcilable when you look at it. So it's an interesting intellectual dance that's that's actually occurring here between the feds and the state.
Well, one thing that I was told by a great attorney, Serena Townsend, she actually said if it's murder through use of a firearm and it's murder during the course of stalking, and you look at the stalking charge, Brian Thompson would have had to be in reasonable fear for his life, but wouldn't that mean that he had to know that he was being stalked? And I paused and I said, that seems like a good point, is if they have to prove that Thompson knew he was being stalked, that doesn't fit.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. That's the tension between the two theories. You can't reconcile the two theories here, and that's one of the problems that you've got. And I think it's been highlighted by Karen Agnifilo, who is the lead defense lawyer, in some of the arguments that she's made in court and in the paperwork. And she and Jacob Kaplan, I think, are going to hit hard on that.
Mark, let me ask you about this. The defense saying that prosecutors access privileged attorney-client calls, that seems like a big deal, and the judge was kind of asking questions about that.
You know, this seems to happen. As I sit here in New York and I see case after case, there seems to be, and by the way, it's happened with specifically under a different administration. It's happened under this administration, but there seems to be this recurring theme of intruding into attorney-client communications by the Department of Justice. Part of the reason that I think this constantly happens is the Department of Justice, for the most part, still adheres to this idea that they've got what they call a trial team and a filter team, meaning the filter team are still Department of Justice lawyers, but they're the ones who are going to look at stuff and they're going to filter out what the other trial lawyers or case team is supposed to see. It's really kind of an anachronistic system. In California, for instance, there's a more robust system where they have what they call a special master, and you have a lawyer that is not part of the prosecutorial team. They're listed on a panel. They get appointed by the judge. Nobody gets to see anything until the defense lawyer goes in and he first goes through everything. He's the first eyes on it. He's the one who asserts privilege, and then the judge gets to see it and make that decision. Well, that's a much more robust protection.
That became a huge issue in the Combs case, and if we had more time, I would talk about that. But, Mark, before I let you go, I just wanted to get your thoughts real quick on the breaking news that we had at the top of the show. The death of Virginia Giuffre, a central figure in the Epstein case. Your thoughts about that?
Well, I mean, anytime somebody loses their life at too young, it's a tragedy. I will tell you, though, that the unintended consequence, I think, of this is it would be shocking to me if the defense in the Sean Combs case, full disclosure, I've represented Sean for years, it would be shocking to me if they went forward with jury selection on Monday. How in the world could the lead accuser in the lead previous sex slave case in the Southern District of New York, how could the lead accuser commit suicide on the Friday night before Monday when they're calling in all the jurors for another prominent man who's being charged with sex slave in the exact same district? I just don't see how they can go forward on Monday. I think you'll see either tonight or tomorrow the defense team weigh in and say, hey, wait, time out, you can't go forward on this.
Can you just amplify that real quick? I mean, what would the reasoning be?
Well, the reasoning is, remember, Jeffrey Epstein, who was the last prominent person in the Southern District of New York, who was found dead by suicide in this district, in this jail, or not in the same jail, but his lead accuser now dies by suicide, the lead accuser against him, literally 60 hours before hundreds of jurors are being called in on another kind of wall-to-wall coverage, what I always call a supersized case, for jury selection. To me, I just don't know how in the world, I think that this news, as we're sitting here on a Friday evening, is just breaking. My guess is that it's going to gain a lot of momentum through the weekend, right up until Monday morning when they have jurors showing up into the Southern District asked to be talking about a sex slave charge.
Doesn't it start May 5th, though, or am I wrong?
No, you're wrong. The jurors come in next Monday.
Okay, interesting. All Okay, we'll see what happens. Mark Geragos, good seeing you. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk about two topics tonight. Appreciate it.
Good to see you too. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.